Howdy guys, how you guys doing today? Hopefully you can hear, yeah. Ooh, all the music sounded really good right up until this. We're skipping it. Goes pretty well. How about with you guys? I am, sorry. Had a little bit of a headache earlier. Don't want that during stream. Wash down some ibuprofen with coffee. Helps. Anyway, So tonight we're gonna build a Plaid, which should be kind of exciting, I think. I guess I'm always excited when I start builds, right? It's when they don't go right that you get less excited. Anyway, this, I don't know. This should be pretty cool. Don't have to lose stabilizers. Ortholinear, so you're gonna see me fail miserably at typing. Just ordered 78 gram Zilents about 30 minutes ago. Nice, nice. Yeah, I personally like 38 gram Zilents myself. Those are 78 gram. 78 gram Zelios and Zilents are kind of my jam. I think the lightest ones are okay, and all the weights kind of in between are good too. The 67s, 65s, all that good stuff, but the 62s have kind of like a unique character to them, and then the 78s I just prefer personally heavy typing. Glad to hear that, I don't know, I'm happy to hear that my opinions are validated. Everybody else seems to like Zelios too. Yeah, super intense. I've been kind of setting up and doing stuff around here, and I've been leaving this music station on and trying to like curate it down into not bad. Hey man, you just got your DZ60, got the wrong layout, pre-built, need a 7U spacebar. Can't find any. Do you know where you can find one? Do I know where you can find a 7U spacebar? Yeah, absolutely. There's like a million sets out there that are capable of giving you 7U. If you want something that you can order right now, I would recommend checking out KBD Fans, seeing some of their ePBT sets that are available readily. I don't think Novel Keys has the Star Wars Galactic Empire set that's available like right now, but it's pretty expensive for what it is because it's officially licensed Star Wars stuff. I think it supports 7U. Yeah, it does. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, that's if you want a red and black theme. If you want something pretty straightforward, readily available stuff are going to be like Max Keys sets, which are SA profile, or if you want Cherry profile, ePBT. Or you just want a straight spacebar. Yeah, if you go to Pimp My Keyboards, you can get Signature Plastics spacebars, probably in a variety of colors in 7U. They usually have just blank keycaps, single ones, $5 to $8 or something like that. I mean to tell you, the stream has gone Plaid for just this one installment. You've been an MX Blue user for over 20 years, tired of the noise, but love the tactility, and everyone said Zilents. Yeah. If you like the tactility of the Cherry MX Blues, the V2 Zilents, V2 Zelios in general are going to be quite a lot more tactile. If you wanted something a little less tactile than that, you could try Cherry MX Clears, or Zilent V1s were not super tactile comparatively. Yeah, Pimp My Keyboards. Try Pimp My Keyboards, RTunes. That would be my recommendation. There's gonna be blanks for sure. For sure, they'll have spacebar blanks. Well, I mean, I guess spacebars are usually blank, but you understand what I mean. Anyway, without delaying too much, we're gonna get over to the solder station and we're gonna start doing this. I don't know if this is gonna take a long time. We're not doing stabilizers at all, so presumably it won't be too long. However, there's a lot of like through-hole components, diodes and stuff. No less tactile. Gotta love that feedback because you have slabs of Mita's hands. I feel you. I type really heavy too. I always have. But I don't type like a ton throughout the day. I'm not always on my keyboard, so I can get away with it, right, without tiring my hands out. If it were like a continuous thing, then probably I'd go lighter. All right, so moving on over. Hopefully our music selections tonight are good. On our random station, we'll have to come back and readdress it potentially. All right, solder station. Do 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 do. Ah. 99% of the time writing code or browsing yeah, GitHub. That's the one. That's the one. Browsing GitHub. You know, the funny thing is writing code does exercise your hands a lot, but it's not actually, because you're not, oof, what was under there? But you're not actually just like writing huge long paragraphs continuously. So I find that in instances where I have written code, I haven't had, because when I do type a lot, because I type so heavy, I actually get like fatigue and mild carpal tunnel syndrome starting. Yeah, and so I've never gotten that when I've been coding. Maybe I'm just not proficient enough. Man, the camera really shows this kitten that I have just like tears everything up. It's crazy. I don't see, it doesn't appear as intense as it does on camera. Yeah, so move this off to the side because we're not going to use that a ton. So this is how the Plaid comes packaged up. It's real straightforward. I mean, like, this package is itty bitty, right? Like 10 inches long, 11, something like that. So, I mean, it's super, super straightforward. We've got some components in there. And actually, I had a friend deliver me some diodes, because at first I thought that for whatever reason it did not come with them, but I guess it did. Anyway, so a pack of diodes, some standoffs and screws, thank you card, which, nice touch. It's a real nice touch, it really is. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Some bump-ons, some resistors, some capacitors. It looks like another diode in here for some reason. LEDs, I think indicator LEDs, an oscillator, other capacitors, little Atmega chip, a socket, connector, USB connector, and I don't know, some other minor stuff. So some little components, and then it comes with, I think wrist rests help, but I find that when I'm typing a ton, it's not really, I don't know, my fingers are just, my hand is just gonna get fatigued. Anyway, so I don't know what it says there, and here it says big shout out. So that is a big shout out to whoever it's shouting out to. So basically the way this goes, it's gonna go here, the standoffs are gonna go on top of this guy. Then you're gonna have this, and this. Yep, this. And then some more standoffs, and then this clear acrylic piece will cover the top. And then you'll have, obviously, your switches and stuff down there. So you should be able to see all the components that get soldered onto here. Which is actually gonna be kind of cool, I think. It'll look nice. So let's set this off to the side. We'll set this off to the side because we're not going to need that anytime soon. We will be using this, and since we're not doing stabilizers, we're going to jump pretty much straight to soldering stuff, as far as I can tell. But before we do that, I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy, Shocks, who 3D printed this awesome thing for me. He had me measure the distance between the diode holes here, and he made this deal for me. And the way this works is you kind of put your diodes down into these little sockets. If you look at this, you put the diodes into these little openings and then the legs out, and then what you do is you give me 4 different sizes here: 4mm, 5mm, and 6mm wide. So we're going to be using this 4 because these are 4.8 millimeters. You stick this down in there and then you just bend the legs up around it. So you made this kind of cool 3D printed jig. So we're going to try that out. It's cool to have creative friends who are into the hobbies that you're into. Anyway, yeah, so to not delay too much more, what is this that we're listening to? No. No. Alright. Anyway. So I guess we could try by seeing how this works. I think I'm going to do one first, though. I'll use my flush cuts through it, or snips, to just get one. Because I don't actually want to bend all of them wrong and have to correct it. So we'll put this doodad in here. I actually don't expect it to perform quite as well with one, because the others won't stay in there, won't hold it in place rather. But yeah. I think these diodes go up here. I'll make sure that they work. Ooh, so clean. That worked just about perfect right out of the gate. Anyway, pretty good. Pretty happy with it. But we'll actually pull up the instructions, and it says getting started. There's some diodes that go up here in D49 and 50. And there are a couple diodes in here by their lonesome. Well, before we go too far, we're gonna move this and throw our soldering mat up. You'll be jumping right over to that. You know what I want to do? There we go. This sounds okay. All right, so where was I? Soldering mat is coming out. Okay. Good evening, Visionaire X. How are you doing today? So are those the same distance apart? They do look like they're about the same. So I'm going to drop all the components out here, because we are going to use them. So you got a little socket there and your controller, which is kind of cool. I want some tweezers. Whatever, this will help me bend the other components into place. That'd be kind of cool. All right. Okay. Load up our little diode legs right here. And I really do like this device that he made. This sounds like an intense song that's starting. Maybe a little too intense. Just don't get W on me. So D49 and 50, and our diode blocking goes this way. Oh, this doesn't sound promising, guys. Music-wise. No. No, we don't want that. We don't want songs like that. So if you guys look, I don't know how many of you guys know. Hey, what's up, BBB? How you doing? Shocks, evening, man. Sorry, I had my chat hidden for a second. Inflation, hey. Yeah, Shocks, man. We're already using your cool 3D printed device here. Anyway, it works pretty well. So yeah. So if you guys look right there, those of you who don't know, right? Diodes have a little indicator of what direction the anode and cathode go, and the board has printed on them indicators, not only square pads, but also your symbolism. Oh, 10 points for Gryffindor if you get the reference there. Yeah, just put it backward, easy. Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about those going on there. Ooh, that song. Do. Yeah, so here I don't know why it says to just solder these independently, like these two diodes, then other ones. I'm looking at their directions. I guess because they're different, technically different diodes. But whatever. Then it says to do these, then the resistors. So I guess it looks like it wants you to do all these, then those, or something. But whatever. So we will start working with these, I guess. Oh, you know what? Let's get our little fan going though, so we're not breathing flux fumes. Get my head out of your picture. Not the best solder joints ever, but not terrible or anything. Just not my cleanest work. Alrighty. So I'm usually a fan of keeping all
all of your pin legs straight as they go through the holes, not bending them intentionally, because it'll be hard to replace components later if you do. Just want to make sure we are going this way, right? Yeah, all the pictures show. Correct. Yeah, and all the silk screening is on this side, not here, but here. Anyway. Wow. Thanks, man. No, what I mean is it's not the joint with the least amount of solder. Like, usually you want the least amount of solder on a joint. There's cleanest and not cleanest, and then there's acceptable and not acceptable. And my tolerance for acceptable is, it's at a high bar, you know? But I'm going to criticize my own work, have my own opinions of it. Anyway, yeah, I don't really worry about that because I'm never going to let them get a part that is not good. But I appreciate busting my nuts on it, though. Not about bars, more about scoops, you know? Scoops? What are we talking about there? Anytime, thanks. All right, so now it says do R178 with 1.5K resistors, which are brown, green, red, gold. I'm glad that they put that up there because I do not memorize these. So there should be 3. Brown, green, red, gold. Well, that's brown something. 2 of them start with brown, so these must be 10Ks. Brown, black, orange, gold. Yeah, so those are 10Ks. Brown, green, red, gold. So 1.5K. Brown, green, black, gold. Oh, purple, green, black, gold. Is that what these are? Oh, yeah. Okay, purple, green, black, gold. So brown, green, red, gold, purple, green, black, gold. So these are 75 ohms. So 1.5, 75, 10K. Brown, green, red, gold, 1.5K. Brown, green, red, gold. This should be the last one of these. And then there should be one more 75 ohm. This should be purple, green, black, gold. Yep, okay. Cool. And then there's I2C. And it says do not place R5 and 6. So what are those all about? Okay, so it says not to place right here, which is fine. But the 2 above it are 7 and 8. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna measure these because since I have that cool little bending jig, I'm gonna make sure these are also roughly 4.8 millimeters apart. And if they are, let's see, these are just a little bit wider than these were. Yeah, but not a ton. So 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, okay, so all those resistors are about the same distance apart. Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna try to use Sean's bending jig for these as well, because I think these little resistors will fit in. So. Oh, and they do. And they do. I'm going to use that same because they're close enough to the same width. They don't bend quite as tightly as the diodes. The legs are a little bit thinner, but to help them along, they kind of curved out instead of bent evenly, so I had to stick my fingers along the side and pinch them against this thing. They look a little wonky coming out of there, but we'll fix them as they go in. Okay, so R1, 7, and 8. So here's R1. Resistors are non-polarized, so it does not matter which direction they go in. But I will try and get the threshold stripe the same on both sides. So R1, R7, and R8 are over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys have a little bit better view. What am I seeing here? Okay. This PCB looks interesting. Yeah, it kind of does. Like I said, it's a plaid, so it's ortholinear, which is bizarre. It does support a single stabilizer, so I'm avoiding that. Remember when diodes came already soldered on the board? Oh, yeah, it's best. Blue base gets in the way a bit. Maybe that can be improved. Really nice little tool. You think the blue base, this blue base, or like my my blue soldering mat? Because I do want to improve all the things. It is a really nice tool. Seems like the end of the T part, the white gets in the way. That only for the ones on the end, and actually when I did the 2 diodes that I bent up here, they it actually worked just fine because the thickness of the diode through hole leg, for lack of a better way of saying that right now, is thick enough that it actually bends at the edge of this thing really well, whereas the resistors are much thinner and they kind of curve. But yeah. Anyway, R1, R7, and R8, and we're trying to get the gold bars for thresholding to go to the right. It's not really trying, it's doing. We are doing that. Just so that there's some uniformity. Don't you do it, music. Oh, wow. Okay. Good. Didn't do it. About to be quite disappointed. Yep. Okay, R7, R8. We're gonna be putting this guy to work a bunch today. Actually, I'm not ready for that. I am ready for that. We're gonna do that. We use our little bending jig again for all these other resistors. So our 75 ohm resistors are right here. And I'll see if it's easier by putting them kind of in the middle so I can test your hypothesis shocks. 75 ohm and then 10K. Yep, 10K. Okay. This is the single 10k ohm resistor. These two guys are my 75 ohm. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay. Using this as kind of like a flipping board. GMK. Handerbyte IC starting to stir up. Okay. White part flexes side to side. It does a little bit. Yeah, I'm not actually planning on Handerbyte myself. Maybe I'll have to just to meme it. I mean, a set of that does exist in the world, right? Somewhere. So these 75 ohms go in R2 and 3, which are right here. Okay, R2 and 3, and then this 10k ohm resistor goes in R4. Which is over here. It's cool that it actually has the resistance values printed under there too, so it's harder to mess it up. Well, if you're paying attention, it's easier to not mess it up. How about that? Okay. So there's all of our... Yeah? Do you actually think it's going to be launched? Okay. I mean, if it does, I don't know. Depends on how much it is, I guess. I may have to get it just for the memes. For memeing it up. He said, the person behind Handerbyte said he might have to get it just to meme it up. Because that would be pretty funny, actually. Okay, and they all look straight in there. Cool. Whoa, see, this song went a different direction than I thought I was going to. I liked it right up until the whoa, 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 whoa thing. But that's okay. Turns out that we can kind of do this. See, those look clean enough. Good. What we were looking for. Cool. Next is all these other diodes. And I think in order to do this, I'm actually going to So I'm kind of curious to Shocks, when you did this, are these spaced a specific amount of distance apart? These diodes on this strip. Wow, man. Instantly unlucky with music. I have a good feeling about this one, though, maybe. Maybe. Oh, so I have news. I won't be streaming next week. Unfortunately, I have to go out of town for business, and it just won't be there. I just won't be here. You know, the other thing I could try, I guess I could try and bend all of these up all at once, and then pull these off. Yeah, I think this thing could go through iterations to make it better, but frankly, it mostly does the thing it needs to do pretty well. I'd have to think about how to improve it. The flex side to side would be like a thing. Maybe make the base a little narrower in this dimension. And then make something that slides up on the side that pushes the legs up flat against this. I mean, if I was gonna like design the perfect bending tool based on this, like iteratively make this better, that's probably where I'd go with it. But this works pretty damn well, like way better than doing it by hand. Well, way better than doing it without a jig. There we go. And then blocking diode direction this way. Black stripe. Yeah, that was way faster than doing them all individually, like without a doubt. This is my test one that I bent early on. And the ones that end up just a little bit long are easy enough to kind of help their little leg through. You were hoping I'd dump them all out at once? Okay. I could do that. Done. Ask and you shall receive. Well, maybe. Depends on what you ask for, I guess, but in this case, I mean, so there are PCB holders that are big enough actually for this size PCB, but most keyboard PCBs, they're too wide in this dimension for a, actually they're just too big in both dimensions, frankly, for a most PCB holders to hold them. So you got to make your own, and I've been contemplating making my own. That's a thing I may enlist your help with, Shocks, figuring that out. Or maybe I'll design one up and see if I can get the parts printed somewhere. Anyway. Because it would be real nice to be able to, like, hold this up side to side, drop all the components in, capped on tape down, flip over. It'd also be cooler to have it mounted when I do normal PCB work, so even in just switches, to have stuff mounted down so that the camera was just looking continuously at what I was doing, and then I had to move around it instead of in what I do now, which is kind of juggling the PCB around to get it the way I want. Such a painful process. This is a painful process. Honestly, this isn't really that much worse than, for me, like, stabilizers are the most tedious part. Lubing stabilizers and doing Band-Aid mod. Like, I understand why a lot of people are moving away from Band-Aid mod. Once somebody showed verifiably that it doesn't improve stuff that much, and I still think it does to some extent. I still like it, but and a lot of builders were just like, I don't want to do this work. This is really time consuming and tedious, and it is. But lubing stabilizers absolutely make stuff better, so there's like zero doubt that it's a positive benefit, as basically everybody in here knows. That's backward. Yeah. Sorry, BBB. I hope it's not painful for you. Or are you just saying it would be painful for you to do it? So this song sounds pretty good. I like it. It would be painful for you. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I mean, I think a lot of people don't build their own boards because they don't have the patience to do all this. They just want the outcome. And I don't hate on that at all, because then I build their board for them. And I like it. I mean, everybody's day job is difficult and taxing no matter what you do. So I'm not going to say that mine is more taxing than anyone else's, but this is like kind of a welcome relief from the stresses of my regular day-to-day. Like, the stream is fun. So that's my take on it. I like that they wired this all up so that the diodes all go literally exactly the same direction right next to each other, though. It'll look cool. I think if I were smart, I would have skipped like every other one. So that I wasn't interfering with myself on the backside on the legs. And do this in 2 passes. But that's okay. Harder, yeah, definitely harder to miss. I mean, I'm not suggesting that we do this on PCBs. Like, this is a very non-compact way to do it, putting them all up in one area. Plus, the routing on this board actually doesn't look that bad, but if you had... This is very condensed, right? There aren't that many switches. If you had more switches, like full size worth, the routing would have to get super creative. Kind of looking at the routing too. Yeah, like this is all routed on the top. None of these are. None of these are. Just these 2 switches are routed on the top. Just these 2, just these 2, these 3. Yeah, so there's definitely some creative routing going on to get this thing to exist in this capacity. I mean, you guys can't really see it that well. Well, you can when I hold it off to the light like this. Like, you can see that these 2 go up, but then there's no connection. Oh, sorry, these 3 do. On this row, on this column, it's these 2, just these 2, these 2, none of them. It's weird. You don't mind switches, but resistors, LEDs, etc. make you want to cry. Yeah, so like when I do work like this, I mean, so most of the way I charge, I'm not going to get too in depth about what I charge any given customer, but I do have a straightforward schema for how I charge customers based on work, and if I'm going to be doing a lot more soldering work or adding a bunch of through-hole components, it definitely costs, significantly more, right? Because it takes more time, and it's the least fun part of any build. It's the least desirable part of it, like this part. Like LEDs, I charge the same amount for LEDs as I charge for the switch in that position also, which frankly I think is fair because the switch is much easier to put in and solder in than the LED. The LED actually takes more time. I don't know. I think I agree with you. It's definitely the least good part of it, but in general, I'm not. Ooh, come on. Okay, so this music channel, this service has way more dub than I like on their EDM station. It's crazy because I had the thing going before we started here. And I don't know, I like didn't skip any songs at all. It all just was good. I'm bound for radio station playlist type stuff to not work out well for stream apparently. Yeah, this is gonna be beautiful, man. I actually like the way this looks. Okay. Nope. Anytime it gets all dubby like that, we're skipping. It's just what we're doing now. These actually just kind of stay in because the legs bend out on the other end. Okay, and we have a couple extra diodes, I guess. That's okay. I don't see any other diode spots, but okay, so we have some tools at our disposal that you may or may not if you're doing this same build, and we're going to use them. So what I'm going to do is
Hold that up. And I'm going to use some Kapton tape to hold these down, mostly because I don't want them looking misaligned when we're done soldering it together. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to hold that in place. And we're still going to press it down against this when we flip it, just to make sure the extra don't move. Then we're just going to solder in one side. Yeah, I think it's purposely not learning. No, I'm joking. I think it doesn't either. No, it has a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Like this. If I thumbs down this, no. I don't know. We'll try this. If not, we'll just move to the other service, which has better music, but the player sucks a lot and like randomly stops occasionally. I'm just trying to find the workflow that means the least work for me. Having to always mess with it. Okay, so we're gonna do anode, anode. So they kind of thought about the way that this goes in. Customer, by the way, if you're in the chat, feel free to say something. Let everybody know this cool looking board is yours. You don't have to. Yeah. This is gonna have a drop. You could feel it. I don't mind it having a drop. I just don't want it to have a wah-wah all the time. Not a big dub guy. It's okay. It's not my least favorite kind of music. And I have played my least favorite genre of music on here on one stream per viewer request. And I turned it off pretty quick. Demon's Gal, that's right, you. If you're still watching, you know who you are. Yes. What was the genre? Country western music was the genre. That is my least favorite genre of music. I
basically never choose to listen to country western music myself. I didn't play for very long. It's okay. I knew I was being trolled, but you know, sometimes you gotta roll with it for the lulz, because now we get to laugh about it. So I like the way they stagger these a little bit. Okay, now if these are all lined up right still, we'll do the other legs. Yeah, they all look pretty good. You guys can kind of see them on the side. So that's what we're doing. Put this stuff out of the way first. Fan on right here. Blow back into our workspace. And I guess we're just gonna solder this the other way. Jack Static, man, how you doing? How are you? Wow, country music where you play the song backward and it gets better. Oof. Oof. How are you doing, man? I saw those pictures, by the way, on your Discord of Rukia with lights, and I have to say, pretty excited there, buddy. So, you know, the funny thing is, on this board, guys, there's a single thing that is risk item, really, in my opinion. Well, two, right? One, this board is bad and you never find out until it's built, like the PCB itself. Or two, the controller that they send to you doesn't have a good bootloader on it. You have to either, or is bad, and you have to get a new one, or reflash the bootloader onto it. And I was looking before I built this one, and there was actually somebody who got one where it didn't have a good bootloader within the last week. I'm like hoping the bootloader is good on this. I think we're gonna be fine one way or another, but I don't have a standalone programmer. So if we get to a point where we thought that was true, we would be done with the stream. And I'd have to either get one or send it to the customer and he'd have to get one. They're not expensive, I just don't have a standalone programmer for this. I am just not a fan of country music. Group by Farukia already ran. Yes. Were you hiding under a rock, man? Or a country song? Oh, hiding under? No, that's not that funny. You were literally hiding under a rock. Literally hiding under a rock? That sounds like an interesting story, buddy. Wait, May 22nd was a Wednesday. Didn't I stream? Whoa, I missed this whole row. Okay. Now we have some other components to solder on, but that was the bulk load of the actual soldering. Okay. Okay. So yeah, ooh, the Rise of Troy. What's up, man? Ooh. That's a pretty awesome offer, BBB, that Jax just threw up in the Discord, man. If you want that Rukia, that's the way to do, I would say. I'm pretty excited about Rukia personally. I'm way looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome board. Rukia, Irma, Jax's projects. Definitely planning on supporting them. Hope they work out well. I do. Okay. That looks pretty good, guys. Focus, camera. Come on. Cool. Got rid of those. All right, let's get the rest of our components in. Those shouldn't take nearly as long as all that just did. Morgan is next. Okay. Morgan didn't go through a GB though, right? I didn't miss that or anything. Saying Morgan sounds awesome, actually. It also sounds like a fairly inexpensive option. I don't know how it's going to work out in terms of your production stuff, but I'm fairly certain that it, manufacturing wise, in my mind at least, it sounds like it'd be a slightly more affordable option than basically everything else. Or than basically every other option I can think of, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to try for that too. All right, so anyway, we did all the diodes. Now there's some capacitors. There's a couple 2.5 millimeter, two 2.5 and 2.5 millimeter caps. So there's this. Where'd my tweezers go? There we go. So those two and these two. These are 22 picofarad, I think. Yep, 22 picofarad. Those other ones should be a 1/10 of a microfarad. They don't have it printed on them anywhere, but trust you. Instructions. Yeah, I'd be a fool not to jump in, and I'm actually kind of a fool for not jumping in on the oh man, what was the Alice like acrylic thing that came out? I forget its name right now, but yeah. You don't know yet. GMK Handerbite is supposed to come out this month. Dude, are you jumping in on Handerbite? Because it's tempting for the memes, but I have no real desire to get that key set. Personally, it's just not my style. Anyway, so C1 and 2 and C4 and 5. So those look like they're right here and there for 1 and 2, and then 5 and 4. So yeah, so it should be pretty straightforward. So these are not it's a way of life. Nice. Nice. Alright, so anyway, C1, C2, we're gonna get those. So the funny thing about my trip next week, I live in the desert, so it's real hot. It's like 102 today, right? 101, something like that. And so when you have to travel for work in the summer, it's usually better, honestly, in a way, at least, than here. But that's not the case for me, because I'm going from the desert to an even hotter desert. I'm going to the Phoenix area, next week. It's gonna be all sorts of fun, guys. Cool breeze where I am. Yeah. I'm not saying I live in the hottest part. I'm just saying. Well, it will get hotter where I live than in Phoenix, but yeah. So C4. C5. Okay, we want these to pretty much stand up on their own. So we're gonna try and get these to solder in straight up and down, but we're just gonna do one leg. And then we're gonna do the thing at your own risk. This thing you're saying we do. Phoenix, the Illuminati airport? Or is that Denver? I don't know what you're talking about, but now I'm super curious. Phoenix is the one that has all the like walkways and stuff. The moving walkways. I guess a lot of airports have that now, but that is a thing about Phoenix. Anyway, Illuminati airport. Wow, dude. I don't know. I'm really curious. Can someone please explain? Okay. Now, the hard part. Let's get this USB connector going. Actually, this shows some other components on here first. Oh, I missed the crystal. Well, I can put the crystal on there. This is gonna have to be pushed in just a little bit. So we wanted to do that pretty quick. Because I didn't want to burn my hands, because this is a metal conductive. The surface of that crystal is metal also, and I was touching it, although it barely warmed up. Well, I had my finger on it anyway. Okay, so we did that. We did those capacitors. Now it says to do the USB connector. And this is pretty thin pitch. So we're gonna, if you look, these are pretty thin pitch, these little pins right here. It says be careful not to bridge them, and we're gonna be careful not to bridge them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our little flux pen, we're gonna coat that backside surface of where this stuff goes. To make this easier on ourselves, to get everything to flow right to where it belongs.
And I'm gonna tack this leg in right here. Get it flush against there. Get all of these. Okay. We're gonna clean our tip real well. Get a fair little bit of solder on there. Draw right onto it. So if you notice what I just did there, because there's flux on that pad and there's solder on the tip of our soldering iron, a little bit of a pooled up well of solder. When I touch this to the pin, the solder flows right onto the pad, and I'm just gonna clean it and well up solder on there every time. And so I think I've burned off a fair amount of the flux right there on the two remaining pads. So this is like a good way with a bigger tip not to. Right? So we're gonna be going from that bottom side. We may need to do that again. So this is a good way to get solder to flow onto there without bridging. And there we go. And we're actually going to test that. Make sure that that's good. I mean, I can see that there's no bridging. We can zoom way in and you guys can see those 5 little pins right there. But we can also I'm gonna read your thing about Illuminati. Okay. Just a bunch of conspiracies over design. It's got Freemason ties, which people equate to Illuminati. Capstone has 2 Freemason time capsules in it. Okay. Sure of how Freemasons are associated. Saw Discovery Channel miniseries. Is this a 60%? No, this is it 40%? I think Plaid is 40%. I don't know, it's super bitty. It's like 40 or 50%. Although percentage is kind of a bad way of really talking about keyboards, but for the sake of argument, you know, it's about that. So anyway, we're gonna test that USB connector thing, because there is actually, I don't think there's short circuit protection on this board. I mean, I know there isn't. So it's good to make sure that none of these Yep, so none of those are bridged to ground and none of them are bridged to each other, which is good. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so there's that. That's in. There's 2 LEDs and
an IC socket, electrolytic capacitor, right? Okay. So there's two LEDs. And the instructions say that these guys do square is cathode. So this shorter guy. Square leg is cathode. And not all boards do that way. In fact, I think it's usually the other way around. But that's okay. Okay. Alrighty then. Alright, so these LEDs are in. What else do we got? We got IC socket. So this is important when you guys do this. You're gonna look for the little notched out section. So it's on this end. You zoom way in. So if you notice there's a notch on this end that doesn't exist on this side. That's gonna match up to the silk screening notch right there. This sticks up the most, it looks like. So, but in order to get it right, we're gonna solder one pin in. Then we're gonna make sure that it's right. Make sure that it's seated down really well. When we hit that pin with solder. Then we're gonna get this other corner. We're gonna push it down. Make sure your finger isn't touching that pin where you're soldering, because it will burn you. Okay. So there's something we're gonna do on this one too. We're gonna use flux on this one as well, just because. Because it makes my life easier to do so. Because these pins are fairly small as well. Clean our tip frequently, re-weld some solder up on there. They're not so small that this won't work at all. It will. I just don't want to have to redo this. So this actually has some lubed Zilents that we're gonna use on this board. I lube switches for customers sometimes when it's associated with a build, and I usually do it while I'm like watching TV or something. So last night I was watching some shows and lubing switches. Now I tub lube. Look at all those. Those are good solder joints. Cool. We have some other components left. What else do we have? We have electrolytic capacitor and a resettable fuse. So we're going to do this electrolytic capacitor. Electrolytic capacitors are also polarized, so the white side that goes north there, that's going to go right here into this hole, just like this. And then this resettable fuse is going to go like this. We're just going to do one side of each of these. Make sure they're in correctly. Okay. Solder the other leg. I'm going to use a tiny little bit of wick on that. Mostly because I don't like how much excess solder is on there. Okay. Okay, that's flowed in. And then we're going to bend this fuse down. Resettable fuse bent down. Okay, what else do we have here? Ah, we have like a little header pin deal. for ISP reprogramming of this doodad. I believe this is directional, non-specific, doesn't matter. Here we go. Morgan, carbon fiber Alice. Yerp. Bro, the way you tin your tip is a pro. Thanks, man. Slather a bunch on, then wipe off with a sponge. Yeah, I mean, so I just kind of, oh, man. Okay. So yeah, I pretty much just, I mean, you can put a bunch on there if you want. Glob it a little bit. It's not a big deal. I mean, I try not to be super wasteful, but solder is not that expensive. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like cheap, not good stuff, but it's also not stupid, right? I mean, all the boards you've seen me build on here, every one of them is less than a pound of Kester, although it's about a pound at this point. I actually have more Kester solder somewhere else that I've used for other stuff, but so yeah, so basically I'm almost done with this pound of Kester, but I have more, and so I think I want to say a pound of this stuff is running like $30 almost. I have another pound sitting there waiting for our next, for when I run out. You always get those curly cues on top of your solder joints. What do you mean by curly cues? Do you mean like where a little bit of solder flows off to the side, like a little wisp of solder hangs off the end? Because if so, what that means is that you're actually using just a little bit too much solder. It's usually what that means. That, or you're using non-flux cord solder. Oh, what are we doing now? Oh, we got a couple switches. So they say to use this switch in this gap and this other one over here, and it should not, as far as I can tell, matter at all what direction these go in. Yeah, those are bridged. Bridged and grounded out, yeah, so shouldn't matter. Looking at the traces. So the right way to solder this thing together would actually have been to put the tallest components on last and the shortest on first. And just like everything else, we're gonna do one leg on each of these. Then we're gonna And Jax, to be fair, with my soldering, I do have a fair bit of experience over my lifetime soldering and a bunch of recent experience. Thus, my technique should be pretty decent right now. I mean, I'm not saying it is in every way. It could be better. Oh, this iron's cooling off. Although I think we're almost done. We might be actually done. Yeah, that was it, actually. So turn that off. So now our chip goes in, and again, we're going to be looking for the little cut in to match with the notch on the socket. And then we're going to test one of these out. So these little legs are just a little bit out. Won't go into both sides of the socket at the same time. So you make sure that these all line up. Let me make sure it goes in. I don't think I have a chip puller either. That's awkward. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't need that out, and there are other ways to get it out. So that's in. So right now what we should be able to do is we should be able to plug this in, and it will not do anything useful. Because it should go straight into bootloader. But I should see it show up, hear it show up as a new device when I reboot it. Right, so this says to plug it in, right, which will do nothing. And then go both of these on, both of these off. It should show up as a new device if I'm not correct. I'm not mistaken. Devices and printers. What just went there? Anything? I think that's how it's supposed to go. Connect and test bootloader, it says. Okay, so it says if you buy kit, already burn bootloader to @mega 328p. Great. Needs device driver. And then plug it in. Push and hold, reset and boot. Then release. Oh. So push and hold, reset, push and hold, boot, release, reset, release, boot. Ooh, new device. Recognized. Oh, not recognized. Okay, so it needs a driver. And Windows is already taking care of that for me, which is good. So this is a good indication, guys. This means that, there it is, it installed it. Let me pull that out. So, QMK Toolbox should show me. I don't always have the best over here, best luck. But either way, the fact that it saw it means that this thing is very likely wired up right. Nah, I'm gonna try it again. Yeah, link him to Morgan, and I will be right back. Because I want to try this over on this other system. gonna pull up my UMK toolbox. Downloads. Okay. What I want to do, figure out that this is in fact working the way I want it. Devices and printers. What do we got here? Malfunction. Okay, so I'm gonna have to find the Plaid driver. The system. Alright, we're gonna switch back over to the other system then. I'll have to install the driver on this one too. I'd rather do it over there. Alright. But we are done with the solder job. Okay, making sure the stream looks good. Cool. Only on Discord, yeah. I'm happy that Jax is gonna make the Morrigan though. We're gonna see a lot more people needing key sets that support. Yeah, so this shows it as malfunctioning. So let me actually grab the driver, which they have over here. Zading, Windows 7 Plus, not Vista. Almost downloaded. Sorry, my camera is right in the way. No, I don't want that. Connect, do.
Okay, so this says install that. Okay. You need to install live USB. Okay. Cool. I don't know, guys. So yeah, this says to install live USB K.
And I was like, that's cool.
I don't know. I'm glad that you guys sent the thread for all that, though. That is good news. I don't want to reboot. Okay. All right, I'm gonna start getting switches ready to go in. There is no plate, which is good news. So I can start throwing all these switches in. Well, this thing in the background is doing its thing. PCB mount only. So yeah, I think is there like 50? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 24, 48. So there's 48 switches. It looks like. Yeah, and it's very possible that I'll have to get the firmware actually functioning after this. Like I said, I mean, there's no way to really test this. So if this thing, for some reason, isn't going into bootloader, which it sounds like it's doing something. That might just be a driver issue with this type of controller, which I don't normally use. I am trying to install a new driver with Zadig, which is what they say to use. But if that doesn't work while we're on stream, I'm not that worried about it. Because again, this is the part that needs to get replaced if it's messed up. Can't do that anyway. But I'm hoping it works. It also, I think, said to bridge a couple connections if you're using LEDs, which I think
we need to do, there are these guys right here. Yeah, so this said to bridge for LED. Well, let me go back. Solder components. Yeah, it says if you use LEDs, make bridge J4 and J5 on bottom side, which we didn't do, which are these two guys right here. So that's easy enough. That's gonna be a minute while it heats up. We'll keep throwing these switches in. Gotta put the kids to bed. Hey, cool, man. Take it easy. We'll see you soon. Yeah, Zilents, man. I'm The Rise of Troy, man. Zilents are cool. I don't remember what weight these are. I didn't order them for the client. They sent them along. I don't remember the color codings on Zilents as well. But these have to be pretty light. The darkest color I think is the heaviest. Those are 78 grams, and I have some of those. But these, I don't know if these are 62. I have some 62 gram Zelios I could try these next two. But I'm not that worried about it. Yeah, Jax, good night, man. If we don't see you, good night. Good talking to you. Glad you popped in. I'm looking forward to Rukia, man. And I hope that everything is going well with you and your fam. Seriously. So the music has gotten more acceptable. Yeah, so this says the driver failed, which is fine. Looks like Zadig crashed, whatever that is. Kill that. End it. I'm gonna reopen it and see if there's a... Okay. Yeah, this whole thing may have to be like rebooted to work well. So this says USB ASP. That gets the live USB K. We'll see if that works. Yeah, I think they're 65. I think you might be right. Yeah, it is kind of weird. You think it's Call Me, maybe? No, it's called I Remember by Triton, whatever that is. Yeah, whatever, man. Driver malfunction. Like I said, I may have to get that working after the fact. Monkey with the firmware after the stream. Make sure it's got a bootloader on it, etc. That's kind of the worst part about soldering together like a board where the whole thing has to go together, is there's always that risk that like after you soldered all the components on board, like the controller doesn't work, or there's a bad trace on the board or something like that. There's really no way to control for that, right? So when I take these for customers, there's always like some kind of a disclaimer or something like that about controllers and problems with PCBs, because I can't warrant that, right? I can say that if it worked, if I could test it and plug it in and make sure that it worked beforehand, that it will work when I'm done, or it's on me. But with this kind of a deal, we get what we get. So customers' Reddit conversation with me said no stabilizers, which means this is how it goes together. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still gonna try and figure out their controller. It's funny, a lot of the build instructions show how to like do this in their Linux. So I'm gonna bridge those two solder connections. You'd be pissed? Yeah, of course, I'd be pissed too. I always try to make sure that my customer's job gets done the right way. Oh, you know what? I mean, if you guys watched the last build, right? We used a different PCB because the weird Korean PCB that came with that whale. So if you guys saw what I did right there, it wasn't that zoomed in, but these two little jumpers right here, what I did is, because there's two pads, is I fluxed them and then I flowed enough solder and it actually flowed two individual things, and as I added more solder, it just globbed together. And there's a nice little bead right between the two. That's kind of the good way to get that accomplished. Yeah, but like I said, with customer boards, like I'm always going to try and get it right. I mean, that's what customers are paying for usually, is they want their thing to work well. Let's look at their instructions and make sure I didn't do anything crazy. It says next, build and burn QMK firmware. So the firmware should be pretty straightforward because it's in QMK configurator. So this is to burn it first, then do the switches, which is a decent enough way to do it. Install bottom PCB and acrylic cover. Complete. So that's the last part. So solder switches. Unplug USB cable, solder and switches. And choose grid or MIT layout. If finished soldering, you should test typing. Yeah, of course. So grid or knit, I'm guessing, is whether you use that. Yeah. Anyway. So because we can't test that QMK yet, yeah. Unsolder and do it again. Unsolder? No. So if the controller's bad, you don't have to unsolder it. That's why we put that socket in. You literally just pull the socket out, pull this out, and then put a new one in, or reprogram this. And if you have an ISP programmer, you can either plug it in right here, or you can unplug this and stick it into a socket and reprogram that. So these are supposed to come with the bootloader on it, and I believe that it actually does have it, because when I hit this, when I do the bootloader sequence to get it into bootloader for flashing, it does do something. It comes up as a different device on here. It's possible I just don't have a driver for dealing with the Atmega 32 or 328p, right? But I think I do, because I've done Arduino stuff on. I don't want to. I'm hoping that it's a driver issue, and I believe that it could be. But it could be that the bootloader is busted, and if that is the case, customer won't have to desolder it, but he may have to buy a programmer or a new one of these that's already pre-programmed. Or, I mean, I would contact the customer and I would potentially order it for him and then test it after the fact. The biggest bummer for me would be if we can't get it to work on stream. Which... And yeah, if there were a problem with the PCB, that would require a new board and to resolder these switches. But honestly, that's the least of my worries. All these other components, we're not going to desolder all those components. We would just solder a new one together. That would be a lot of work. And diodes are cheap. Like, that would be miserable. But I am after we do this part, I'm gonna go work on it. Yeah, desoldering just these switches would be fairly simple. I mean, the instructions say to get it all flashed beforehand, but there's no reason you need it to do that. It's just so you don't go through extra work if it's busted. Generally speaking, no one is going to warrant your board after you started soldering on it at all. If they ever were going to in the first place. Which is why you see most streamers smoke test the PCB beforehand. Most of the time. I mean, I try to all the time. But with a board like this, you can't. Literally can't. There's no way to test its functionality until all those other components are soldered on. It's like it was cold. So soldering the switches on is pretty quick on this board. Yeah, this is a fast board because there's so few switches on here. This song sounds promising. It's funny, the software that we're using, this music streaming service, by default, if you don't pay for the service, you have to allow it to post what song it's playing in your channel. And it's turned on by default, so even though I pay for it, it was like turned on. When I was testing it, I was like, how do I turn it off? This song's cool. I like it. Hey, I'm that person. How you doing? Plug it into a Linux box. Yes. A lot of the instructions on this board are, in fact, plug it into a Linux box. Hold on. I'm zupping this song. Yeah, anyway, a lot of the instructions are specifically do that. And what is smoke testing the PCB? A lot of times, so if I have like a working, fully functional PCB where all I'm going to do is solder in switches that I get with a new board that I buy, plug in the PCB raw, and then use tweezers to actuate to like touch the two pads for each switch position to verify that it works. And then if it doesn't, then you can call, whoever sent it out and be like, hey, there's a problem with this board that you delivered me. It is broken. So the act of actually just plugging it in, making sure that it works, after assembly and then shipping, because it might have got QC'd somewhere and then shipped and broke during shipping somehow, which is very possible. Mechanical damage, like a cold solder joint on something important that, well, everything's pretty important, but you know what I mean. Busts, and then the whole thing just doesn't work. So notionally, this board would work correctly now. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Is Morgan in the Discord or the Rukia thread? It's in the Discord thread, I'm thinking. Corbin Dallas, sorry you're late. No worries, man. It's going all right. So it's going all right physically. Like the thing is together. It is showing USB device not recognized. Blah blah blah. So I can go into Device Manager, I guess, and look at what's going on with this USB device. Where are you? Universal Serial Bus. Yep, stuff definitely goes off. Nothing comes up. So when I unplug this and plug this in, nothing comes up. That's actually not a bad thing. And then when I put it into, something shows up, although I have no idea what thing it was. Because there are so many USB things plugged in. I don't show anything as a busted device. If it's a Windows machine, don't you have to reboot like 4 times before something should work? Wow, dude. Wow. Yeah, that's very possible. I'm not going to reboot this computer, though. That's why I'm saying, like, if it is busted, I may end up fixing it after the fact. I do have other computers that I can reboot. But at this point, I'm fairly certain it is what it is. So we are going to, in fact, screw it together. Because if it is busted or the bootloader is broke, there's not a lot that's going to get done. A bunch of nuts and bolts here. Says install that. So screw, cover, spacer, main PCB, 2 nuts, screw. That's how A is, okay. And B is nut on the bottom, 2 nuts in the middle, and a screw on the top. Okay. Easy enough. So do we want this on the bottom or this on the bottom? I think we want this on the bottom. So just like that, that's how it's going together. Let me check to see how B goes. Yeah, okay. The B literally goes like this. So all these go one way, and then these 4 up top go some other way. Yeah. Morgan is the idea. It's not a full-blown thing. That is correct. But basically the idea is they're just gonna cut Alice shapes out of carbon fiber, and then you stack those sandwichy type shapes into a board. Yeah, I'm stoked for it. It sounds awesome to me. So I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay. Probably the worst thing. He totally spelled it wrong, dude. Sorry. Not my fave. Good. For someone. Somewhere. Maybe. Who wants that thing? Good for people who just want a meme. Memes every day. Come on. GMK hand or bite, man. Yes, please send a pic once you get hand or bite on your actual board. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, man. Are you sure it's actually going to happen? Has somebody verified that it is a coming? This is dark. I don't think I want this. Too dark. I mean, I'm not saying it can't exist. I just having a hard time in believing it's going to run again. And I mean, maybe it will. I don't want to guarantee that it won't or anything like that. I'm asking, is it actually running? Has someone verified they are going to be running this set? Don't mention Alps or Jurassic Park. I mean, Alps things do get made pretty frequently, though. Like, that's definitely a thing that does in fact happen. .5mm. 4. I'm not trying to poop all over your dream, man. I'm just saying. I feel like there isn't very much interest in Handarbite all around. If there is, like, I'm very curious to know that it is in fact running. Alps throwback set cost shit tons of money. Ridiculous amounts of money. I know, I bought a set. It's stupid. I'm not in love with how much that costs. Okay. No, you're totally right. It is preference. And I do hope that someone who likes it yeah, I feel you, man. Yeah, Alp's throwback is like ridiculous money. And a lot of people don't like DCS, so that's like a reason that I think a lot of people didn't jump on it. They're like, DCS, meh. And teach their own. I don't hate DCS. It's not my favorite, but okay. And the way that this other one works, so the top ones are kind of the same. Kinda. But a little bit different. So these work like this. I wish they'd just use standoffs instead of these nuts. How much does an SGI set go for? Really depends. But let's say 180 to 200 bucks. That's what I'd say. Yeah. I offered someone 180 for a set and they said no recently. But I also bought a whole board for 200, so I mean, I don't know, whatever. Deep dark blue. This song sounds cool. Cool enough. So this has I'm not going to right now, but if I were a customer, I would Loctite this. I'm not going to do it right now because if we have to take this apart, I'm going to be real mad if I do that. And if we don't have to do this, I may just Loctite it for them in the end. But these bottom side nuts, I would Loctite. I mean, I'm going to torque them down real good. But the other side isn't the tightest thing in the world. And then I'm going to put the standoffs on. The top doesn't have any more nuts, so we have some spares. So these get standoffs, and then the clear acrylic piece goes on top of this. And then another bolt goes through. You like GMK carbon? Looks like you can buy. Are there clones though? Wait, looks like all you can buy. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, Alps Turvax, it's more than that to fill it up. I think it's like 320, not 230, right? To fill out TCal. Am I right? Or was it 230? I mean, I can go look at, I guess, my order from Candy Keys. Yeah, I agree. Don't buy clones of GMK. You're talking like cheap Chinese sets. I would avoid them personally. There we go. Centered. Nope. Try not to over torque these guys. Don't want to crack the acrylic piece. Okay. Yeah, cheap is cheap for a reason. It is true and stuff like this, unfortunately. Like a lot of times the legends will be like lasered in and they're real poor quality. So like they fade really quick. Like stuff gets into the laser and the laser etched. Just gets dirty and janky. Yeah, so this top piece may have to come off to pull that IC out, but bump-ons. Good. Okay. This is a silicone surface, so it's pretty slick to begin with. Okay, I'm gonna bring us back over to the main rig, and I'm gonna try to get this thing functional over there. May have to reboot that computer, which would mean, well, would mean some effort and a loss of music, but I'm gonna move it over there. We'll try. All right. We will try. We will try. Okay, Plaid, bootloader. I'm not listening to that. Okay, guys.
At least this sees it as USB ASP. So drivers. I will try. Run check. USB ASP, and we're gonna do live USB K is what it says to do. Install live USB K, which is what we're gonna do. I'll even show you guys. Hold on. Okay. So this is what it says. So we've got live USB. All right, USB ASP, which is what it says. We're choosing that. We're gonna install the driver, and it's very possible this just requires a reboot. Wait. Ooh, what am I seeing here? Falcons. Oh, you have all sorts of stuff being said in here now. Oh yeah. Did you jump on? You jumped on Oblivion? Nice, man. I'm thinking about getting Oblivion monochrome. Okay, so this says that the driver was successful. Good job. Okay, maybe it works. Maybe it needs a reboot. I don't know. USB device you connected has malfunctioned. Funny thing is I see that on my window. I don't actually see that anywhere else. I still see the live USB device. Enter bootloader mode. After run this command in terminal. Not terminal. What about Windows? Grr. Nah, I'm joking. AVR dude. Direction of that mega. Boot switch and reset switch. Sure. USB connector. Test with AVR dude. So what do I use? So there's a note about QMK Toolbox. Can't burn firmware with QMK Toolbox. Okay. So there's other firmware flasher maybe. Okay, so let me build a Plaid QMK configurator real quick. Plaid default, yes, compile. It's baking my potato, guys. Okay, let me read through some chat here. Man, you guys have been chatting a bunch lately. Okay, Modern Dolce is great, guys. I have that. Vanderbite is very interesting. Would buy for like 50. Nice. I mean, I'd probably pay like pretty standard low-end GMK prices, like 100 for the memes. I don't know. That's just me though. Okay, in downloads, choose hex. So if I go into, okay, so yeah, I see my live USB or my ASP USB or whatever device when I do this. So now it's literally about what software I use to burn this. Handerbite emote. We do need a Handerbite emote. I have not bought monochrome. Wait. So I see your monochrome comment there, BBB. Are you talking about GMK monochrome or are you talking about Oblivion monochrome? Because I want to buy Oblivion monochrome. And I also have GMK monochrome. So what are people burning the firmware with? Build and burn QMK firmware. So everybody's saying to do it in Linux, which is great, but how do I burn to this thing with not Linux? Flashing firmware. I mean, it says there is a thing on there that says it do not use QMK Toolbox, or somebody commented saying you can't. And I do have QMK Toolbox open in it. I think it's because of the type of microcontroller that it uses, right? Does that sound right? Unknown. Yeah. A QMK Toolbox sees nothing. No device. When you code, you have those colors highlight different parts of the code. I mean, okay, yeah. So I'm using an old firmware flasher thing and it does not want to flash it. Let's reset. No, thank you. Why can I not flash to this thing? Yep, USB ASP loader is the USB loader. Good. When you burn bootloader to raw at mega 328p, don't forget to write fuse bits. Good. Okay, so it's already got this on it. Enter bootloader mode. I did. I do see it in device manager. Can't recognize bootloader. No, that's not where we're at. We do have that. Kind of irritating. Make plaid. Okay, fine. Googling. Oh. So this stays plugged in. QMK. Toolbox. Plaid. Up with Plaid firmware. Somebody did post about this. I mean, this says people are using QMK configurator and toolbox. Doesn't realize the bootloader. Good, we already have that. Okay, the guide is bad. Or at least it appears to be bad to me. Hold on, okay. And you guys are talking about all sorts of programming stuff. Sorry, I wish that I was helping you. Not safe for life. Oof, guys. Oof, guys. Hmm. If you succeed to enter it, okay, I see that. I guess I don't directly program controllers very much. Or maybe this is what I'm not doing. So trying to download an AVR dude. I see a bunch of tar.gz files, so is this a Linux only thing? Definitely leads me to believe that that might be the case. No, it does appear as though... Downloads AVR dude. It's in the Windows folder. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure this thing out because truth is, this is becoming very difficult for me to figure out at this point. So guys, I think we're pretty much done. I'm gonna put the keycaps on this and then I'm just gonna have to figure this shit out on my own. You said if the USB ASP bootloader is showing up, and I did use Zadig to change the driver, and it does show up. This is your first issue when you built yours. So if you built yours, here's my question. What did you use to burn the firmware onto here to actually flash the QMK config onto here? That's what I want to know. Because when I open up QMK Toolbox, it doesn't recognize it. And then when I go to there was actually a comment on here. Right? Yeah, that says, someone says that you can't burn firmware with QMK Toolbox. So what software are you using? Okay. Okay, so I'm at command line. So I see command prompt stuff, or I see terminal commands to issue to do this, but what software are you using? Are you issuing terminal commands to? And by terminal, I don't mean Linux terminal, right? Is there something about after recognized, run this command in terminal. If you don't set up QMK firmware, please read this thing. But I want to use QMK, so forget that. It says AVR dude -C -USB whatever, and then if there isn't a problem, you see this. I'm not even trying to check it. What I'm trying to do is use software to burn to actually write the firmware to it. So there's like some Plaid files. There's like a make whatever. You Google search QMK getting started. Yeah, so I've never burned I've never done a QMK build. Like I've always gotten a hex file and actually written it direct. Yeah, okay, so getting started, are you talking about flashing firmware on the QMK thing? So it says flashing your keyboard. Now that you built custom firmware file, which I'm guessing I can just do with QMK configurator, right? Simplest way is to use QMK Toolbox. However, it's only available for Windows and Mac OS. If you're using Linux, you'll have to do this other thing, but I'm not using Linux. So, I mean, I can run Linux. I do have Linux on a laptop right here and on other stuff, but I have no real desire to go into that if I don't have to. Yeah, so all of this talks about using QMK Toolbox. There's a flash from the command line. First thing you need to know is what bootloader you use. 4 main bootloaders. So there's DFU stuff, and I had a DFU. I mean, all of this is about QMK Toolbox, right? Installing Git. all this shit. I mean, there has to be a piece of software that literally just writes the thing that I make in QMK configurator with a single command to this USB AVR or whatever the device is called. Hold on. To this USB ASP device. Scroll down to MySys and Git. Oh, fuck my life. Installing Git. Okay. I mean, Linux is fine for certain types of things, but I don't want to use Linux in my regular, everyday, like, desktop computing environment. I like to play games and stuff. Okay. So set up QMK once you have, so this is in Linux Unix. Test your build environment. No. Windows. You will need to install msys2 and git. Follow the instructions on the msys2 page. Roger that. That's kind of unfortunate. That is kind of unfortunate that there's not software simply to write the hex file directly to this. Why can't I on QMK configurator write the hex file for a Plaid then? Steam is on Linux, but it doesn't play basically any game that I care about. Yeah, it plays like Civ 5. That's like literally the only game that I've ever found on the Linux Steam worth playing. All right, well, I'm not going to do all that on stream and download QMK itself and do all that. That's way not a thing I want to spend time doing right now on stream. Sorry. Yeah, it would be way cool if it just worked through literally any software, because QMK Toolbox isn't the only software that can write out to a variety of other devices. It's just QMK Toolbox supports, it looks like, Atmega 32U4, AT90 USB 1286, Atmega 32U2, and 16U2. And this has an what is it? 328p. Yeah, I don't really like ortho layout either. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's real cheap. I don't know. This is a customer's. I didn't buy it, but we will throw the keycaps on there, and I'll burn it for the customer after the fact. It does look like it goes into bootloader mode though, so that's good. At that point, it should just be as simple as no, I want QMK configurator. Let me find Plaid to find its default layout. Okay. So this thing has it's such a small layout, it's so weird. Don't have numbers. We do have this. Man. Yeah, I can't do ortho. That's the problem for me. Yeah, I know what you mean. Hey, take it easy, BBB. Good night, man. ZXC. Yep, here we go. Like trying to find reference points for stuff, but all writ to cat state. V. Man, ortho board's so weird. Nope.
All I do is count that paper.
Ooh, I don't want to listen to that at all. We have colon on here? We do. Woo-hoo. No. Nope. I don't know what we're listening to. Super weird though. Maybe that. Two J's. It's one scooped and one not. Is there a tilde anywhere in here? That would be a weird key to have. Those are the scooped ones. Let's see. Reddit customer actually sent a picture of what he wanted. Need to listen to the patented Nathan Kim jazz playlist. You want me to listen to a jazz playlist? I could. I'm not a big jazz guy, but I mean, I don't dislike jazz. Jazz is cool. I mean, if that's what you guys want to listen to. You tell me. Is that what you want to listen to? All right, we can listen to some jazz. I'm good with that. Give me one sec. All right, all right, all right. I will find some jazz for you. Come on, I know there's jazz in here. I've done seen it. Piano. Not indie staff picks, come on. Okay, hold on. I joined too many different of these kinds of man, there was one of the services that actually just had straight jazz. I can't find it. I can't find it. But I can play. Why is there no jazz here? Simple and gentle. Yep, I cannot find it here. We're definitely not going to listen to this. Sorry, guys. Apparently, not finding it. I will find it for next time though, and have jazz on tap. If I remember to. I'll try and do that after this. I like scooped. Hopefully the customer does too. Okay. I'm trying to... Oh. Yeah, some of these symbols I'm not really sure what they mean. Looking at pictures of people sometimes use here. So this is what we got. Eons a few months later. Eons are $800. What are we talking about? Oh, okay. Yeah, good luck, man. Speakers, audio equipment gets stupid expensive. Anyway, so we're not going to do a typing test today because, well, yeah. I don't feel bad about not doing a typing test, by the way. Because this is ortholinear and I'm terrible. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it. Yeah, like I said, we're not gonna do one because not programmed. And I'm not gonna go through all the instructions and like, yeah, let that last forever, but I will let you guys hear what it sounds like. Of course, I will do that. Of course. And they are silent. One Up should ship your Zilents in the next day or so. You mean Zeal? You can order Zilents from One Up keyboards? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, these are lubed. Ooh, what do you mean by the KBD fans order? Are you getting a KBD 8X Mark II? Because I'm getting one of those too, and I'm excited for it. You order Zilents V2 78 gram. Okay. From yeah. So I'm really bummed, but now I'm gonna have to go figure out how to flash this firmware onto here. And it's totally gonna take me some time because, well, I've never compiled QMK. I always use QMK configurator for most QMK boards, QMK configurator and QMK toolbox. And apparently QMK toolbox does not work with this, so womp womp. I suppose I should have made it and set all that up before, but when would you ever do that thing? If not for a specific build. Sophia Wolfx. I did $15 shipping from KBD fans about 3 hours ago. Oh, okay. With the extra weight. Okay. Want that. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want it either. I understand where you're going with it. Yeah. You think you're going to do one of these plaid boards just to have it? I like its style. Well, for what it's worth, either follow the Linux instructions, which it sounded from above like you would do, or if you're using Windows, be prepared to flash QMK to actually compile the QMK load and use the QMK tools for it. Like I said, I'm gonna have to download all that and get that all set up, which is not a thing that I've ever done before, but I guess I'll have that set up for the next board that we do. They are. They are. Are they? Yes. And they're okay. They feel okay. I'm not the biggest fan of these. They're a very flat-topped profile. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like DSA more than this, I think. That's my take on these keycaps. They are XDA. Anyway, we will go to a different song, and I think I'm gonna head out, guys. I'm gonna figure out how to flash this thing and burn it up, and I'll I don't know if I'll post a video of it being used in real life anyway. There is a likelihood that I will end up streaming for part of Sunday. If I do, it'll probably be around the time that it was done last weekend, which would be around noon. I'm not 100% sure yet. This is my only regular stream time every week is Wednesday, but I'm trying to add in weekend times, figure out how that kind of works with viewers, how it works for people. If I do, I'm going to be doing some chores stuff. I'm going to be desoldering some ML116s. Cool, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll do ML116 desolders, and I feel like there's a couple other things that I'll end up doing, but definitely 2 ML116s are going to be junked, and I'm taking their Alps oranges. I am, however, skipping next Wednesday because I will be out of town for business, but I will plan on making that up shortly thereafter, either that weekend or the Monday following. This is a beautiful little board. I actually think it's cool. It doesn't weigh very much. I'll get the scale. And of course you guys won't be able to see it here, but I will tell you it is 11.6 ounces. So it's itty bitty. It doesn't weigh much. And it is wicked silent with these Zilents in them, and they are lubed Zilents. I lubed them myself with 3204. Yep, super quiet. Anyway, guys, hopefully I do set out to stream at least a harvesting chores video, if nothing else. So if I do, I'll see you this weekend. Otherwise, I will see you 2 weeks from today. 3204. Yeah, 3204 is great on Zilents. It's great. 3204 is great on tactile switches, in my opinion. You do sacrifice a tiny little bit of the tactility, but you do gain a nice buttery smooth feel. I personally like to go heavier for my own stuff because I like the smoothness more. Where it really helps is I tub lube my springs independently of the switches to really get a coating on the springs themselves. And with Zeals, that's really beneficial because it gets rid of a lot of the spring sounds. You think too much? Yeah, it would be. Zeal V2s are super tactile already. Tired on the board with. I like a lot of tactility. Like this board that's normally one of the boards that's in constant rotation on my desk is Alps Browns, and if you've ever used Alps Browns, they're quite tactile. Quite tactile. And they're heavy. And I'm more of a 78 gram Zeal guy myself. In fact, I just recently bought a ton of 78 gram Zeals for upcoming board builds for my own stuff. I have like a whole spreadsheet road mapped out with the switches that I own and kind of what's going to end up on where over the upcoming couple months as some other boards come in. Like we're going to get a Rukia, we're going to get HBCP at some point. We're gonna get, you know, a bunch of boards that will require switches. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for your time, and I'll hopefully see you at least a little bit this weekend. If not, like I said, 2 weeks, and then I'll start making up for you guys. You're very welcome, Corbin Dallas. Sorry that we weren't able to get this out. I'm really bummed when there are builds that are complex and don't end up with that payoff where it results in a typing test for you guys. But obviously this thing is going into bootloader, so it's gonna get flashed. I'll take some cool pictures and post them up. Anyway, have a good one, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next stream.